year is 2021, and Libsyn launches the latest podcast on the Borgcast Galactica feed. In a freak mishap, Borgcast Galactica and its hosts, Peter and Anne-Marie, are blown out of their trajectory to re-emerge as Boer Rogers in the 25th century.
Friend, and welcome to Borg Rogers 1.6 with Anne-Marie and Peter.
Hello!
We have some last time on.
Yes, various assorted bits and pieces from the return of the fighting 69th and Drew, in a rare moment of lucidness, you suggested, Anne-Marie, last time, that week you might be talking in binary, which is what the biddy biddies is all about, and Drew agrees. If you equate B to 1 and D to 0, that means Tweaky keeps saying 101010, which is 42 in decimal.
Meaning of life.
Maths. Excellent.
Yes.
And interestingly, from the book, which I am currently reading about Buck Rogers, that Mel Blanc has confirmed that Biddy 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 was indeed supposed to be binary.
Yay, go me! I done an intelligent.
Yes. Originally, he would have only biddied, so to speak. But Blanc threw in Buck, you're my kind of guy is kind of a joke. And the producers liked it so much they kept it and introduced more phrases from him. So that's why he does speak occasionally. Cool. Also, this is Patrick Yankowicz's Buck Rogers TV guide. We learn such wonderful things such as it is definitely Gil Gerard because it's short for Gilbert. He's Gilbert
He's
Gerard.
A Gilbert. Bloody hell.
Wow. In the previous episode, Catherine Ann Weiberg, who played Alicia, is actually deaf, which was nice. And Lucky, the 69th doggy, was a rescue dog who'd become US tabloid The National Enquirer's mascot.
Oh.
The writers reluctantly included him in return for an article covering the show in the paper.
Aha.
But they're like, do we really have to include the dog? Well, if we're going to include the dog, he's not going on the spaceships.
There are limits.
Yes.
So on to Unchained Woman.
Yeah, that's a weird title, isn't it? Presumably it's a reference to Burton. Not that she was ever actually in chains, but I suppose it's sort of talking about her being imprisoned. Apparently the working title was Escape from Zeta, which is far more pulpy and much better, yes.
Yeah, oh well.
It's written by Bill Taylor, who wrote one episode of Wonder Woman, and then this, and then nothing. Well, in some ways that's a shame, because I think this is kind of fun.
It is.
And then he acted in a couple of films a decade ago, so he sort of switched to acting.
Oh, okay.
And it's directed by Dick Lowry, who helmed Plot to Kill a City.
Right.
Pantera's raids on our shipping lanes are crippling the outer colonies, and someone is leaking our shipping schedules to him. Now, Jen Burton, Pantera's ex-girlfriend, will undoubtedly tell us who.
Well, she's a confessed murderer.
Oh, come now, Ted. It's common knowledge Pantera committed the crime. She's just covering for him. Zetan government had her incarcerated as a matter of principle. Certainly not justice.
The prison on Moon 3 is impregnable. Your agent can never get her out.
On the contrary, given Buck's considerable talents, the mission has a 93% probability of success.
So you have a guy who's piloting a transport.
It's called the Canarius, which you expect it to be some sort of yellow bird, but there we go. The model was actually part of the ragtag fleet in Galactica. They've just redressed it slightly.
Fair enough.
Captain's played by Jim B. Smith. BJ Count 1. Hey, it's back, baby. He's also in a film called Mitchell, which is a Babylon 5 reference.
And you've got Wilmer and a lieutenant saying that he's carrying contraband, and he's like, no, this is a prison ship.
Lieutenant Zimmerman, who's played by Charles Walker, who was in all the 80s TV, A-Team and all that, except he wasn't in BJ, sadly.
Ah.
But they go through a tiny door, you notice, to get into the main cockpit bit. Why would anybody make a door that small?
I don't know. And the thing is, right, it turns out that this pilot is an android. And later on, when you see androids, they've got sort of head covering things, and they look what I would think of as normal age. Either they have androids that can age, or they've chosen to make an android look about 55.
Yeah.
So what the fuck?
That doesn't make any sense,
No.
does it?
And he's got the most unnecessarily massive neck collar on.
Yes.
It's like his head's not that big.
I think it's supposed to suggest that he could be wearing a space helmet, but he's not.
But it hangs right over his nipples, for fuck's sake. Anyway, the lieutenant opens him up and starts soldering some stuff, and he's working on his memory, and they replace the real prisoner with Buck, who is perfectly happy to be a prisoner and going to this terrible prison because he's wearing the Medallion of Win.
And you think, surely that medallion will be confiscated from him if this is a prison. I mean, perhaps he should have tried stowing it up his...
Yeah.
Anyway, as it turns out, it's as well he didn't.
Yes.
Let's put it that way.
Yes. And he's going to...
Oh, and the medallion seems to be Federation issue or possibly Blake 7.
Yes!
It's got the Delta on it.
Yeah. Yeah. It to me, was more reminiscent of Blake 7, but that's less realistic because Blake 7 was filmed in the UK, so... Anyway. So as he's leaving, he appears to give Wilma his washing and tell her to be careful with the starch. It's like, what the fuck? Then, back in the Earth Defence Directorate, you meet Ambassador Warwick, except they're American, so they can't pronounce it. So he's Warwick, as in Willis Warwick, Willis Wadwick.
Yes. Alas, poor Warwick.
Yeah, bloody hell.
I love the fact that Hugh greets him with "Ted, by Jove."
Oh yeah.
Like he's suddenly very English.
While he's in the process of nearly falling over when he gets up from his chair. Did you notice that? Oh dear. But again, it's so Colin, isn't it?
Yes.
Anyway, he's an ambassador and he says that the Zaytons won't release Burton. And immediately I'm writing down he's a dodgy ambassador.
Yeah, I mean, is it really wise Hugh telling him the entire plan?
Oh, no, that's just...
Clearly not.
It's like, he's my friend. It's like, but that's not how it works. No. I mean... You would think that somebody in a military organisation would understand the concept of confidentiality, wouldn't you?
Apparently not, no. Anyway, it's all very dodgy because they're overriding another state's sovereignty to bust out a convicted prisoner.
Very United Statesian.
It is, isn't it? Yes, but surely
actually,
that's
it's
wrong.
very Mission Impossible.
Yeah, right.
They did that a lot. So they had to go to made-up
South
American
yeah.
places and break out people, and they couldn't possibly... It had to be, completely deniable and everything because it couldn't be seen.
Corto Valdez, that's it. They were always in Corto Valdez.
Yeah. That's what it reminded me of, anyway. So then you have Buck, he's being transported on some sort of dune buggy that's clearly supposed to be a hovercraft. Oh. And I know it has an air curtain, but that's a fucking valance, okay? That's not...
We've actually seen this before, would you believe? From Battlestar Galactica's Greetings from Earth. You know, the one with the crap androids?
Oh, God, that...
Yes, it's the same vehicle from that, resprayed a different colour.
Wow. And so he goes down... There's not much structure above the earth. It's like a little lift thing, and he goes down, and that's where you meet the other androids, the ones with the head coverings and wearing all the black. And the look really reminded me of something, but couldn't tell you what it was. Can you tell me what the look of those androids reminded me of?
It reminds me of Encounter at Farpoint. When they're they're past with a court with Q, and the guy who's like the guard has a very similar head covering.
Yeah. But anyway,
you also note that Buck calls one of the guards Hugo, and Buck's cover name is Valjean, very Valjean.
Oh.
Victor Hugo wrote Les Mis. Yeah, it's all very subtle, isn't it?
Oh dear. Anyway, they put him in decontamination. They go, oh, this one's really bad. And so Gilbert does this really quite bad acting of being in a room where they've clearly put a special effect on afterwards, if you see what I mean, that doesn't actually do anything. Meanwhile, the dodgy ambassador, unsurprisingly, is being dodgy and meeting with Pantera. I'm sorry, that sounds like a sanitary product.
It does, exactly what I thought. It's some sort of feminine hygiene product, isn't it?
Yes. Pantera panty liners new with wings or something.
Yeah, Pantera nighttime. Yeah.
Yes! Oh dear. Anyway, he has no plans to... Although he had originally said he was going to break Burton out. He's got no plans to do that. They're going to kill her first.
It's played by Michael Delano, who was in Commando. A couple of the Oceans films.
Okay.
The A-Team. BJ Count 2. Hey!
What was he in Commando then?
I don't know, to be honest. I don't think he was one of the main bad guys, but anyway. I like his duds. They're quite cool. Sort of blue, or sort of ski gear, isn't it? Really, very 1980s. And he's assisted by Majel.
Angel Barrett.
Yes, quite. Who's got an interesting pink and purple number.
I like the purple, but not it's sort of pinky lilac that doesn't go.
Yeah, this is Tara Bookman, who was in the Cannonball Run.
Oh.
As one of the sexy duo who flash over races to distract them. So it's all tasteful stuff.
Yes. And then you have Buck coming out of the decontamination, and then the android has a scanner, and it's clearly an effect they've put on afterwards that doesn't quite line up.
Bad.
Oh, it's really...
It's up there with the Ready Breck effect from the adverts,
It
isn't
is, yeah. Except this is piss yellow. And they detect the medallion. Oh, no. And they put it in the bin. So then Buck's taken through to where all the prisoners are, which is just in some main room with not an awful lot going on. And he says, when did prison become co-ed? Mm-hmm. Which is...
Men and women together.
Mixing, yeah, but co-ed, okay, it's an odd phrase.
That's a United Statesian phrase.
Right.
Colleges are co-ed if they're mixed sex, so yeah.
Right, okay, fine. And then you get Jamie Lee Curtis.
Hooray!
I know what she's been in. She's been in Halloween and Knives Out.
Very good. This is post-Halloween, but it hadn't quite took off. In actual fact, Halloween was released, and then it was released a couple of years later, and that's when it really got big. So she's really not hit the big time yet, hence she's on Buck Rogers.
Yeah. But she responds with, how else would you do it? And he's like, men and women separately. And she's like, the problems that will cause?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he's like, you've got to come with me. And she's like, yeah, I've heard that before. Your name is this, I don't believe you. And they just get down, and there's a big explosion in the bin. And it's a proper explosion. I liked the explosion.
Yeah, considering it travels all the way up the lift shaft, completely blasts the entrance to the lift. You think, good grief, there can't be anything left of the rest of the prison, I wouldn't have thought.
But there's enough of the android that he says there's no chance of escape, stay in the rec room, there's no chance of escape, stay at the... Oh, you're like, okay, fine.
Would you mention, by the way, that this is set in a desert, which is, of course, Vasquez Rocks. Hooray! That's featured in numerous Trek episodes.
Including Picard.
Mm-hmm. And it looks damn good. I mean, if you're going to film anywhere for an alien planet, that's not a bad place to start.
Yeah.
Better than our blooming quarries that we get in this country.
Yes.
And in Loki.
Yep. It's because it's low-key.
Yeah, it is. Very good.
It's better than your bloody pun.
About the Loki motive. Anyway, that's a completely different show, which we might cover maybe. It's a bit too quality for us, really, isn't it?
It is, isn't it, really? Although arguably you could have said that about proper BSG.
Arguably, yeah. The thing is,
compared to most of the other things
apparently Disney isn't going to release any of these shows on DVD, so we're not going to cover it purely for that reason, because that's just wrong.
Yeah. And then you have Tweaky going biddy biddy biddy, at which point Theophilus immediately responds, which is where I think I got, bearing in mind I didn't know it was called binary at the time, I just knew there was a thing called computer language. I think that's where I got this idea that he was speaking computer language from, because he says biddy 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 and Theophilus immediately responds. And he says, no, I think you're right, and he says, take me down to the main data bank. He's going to look for patterns in the shipping attacks, which, I like. And then,
they feel, bless them, they feel bad about Dr. Hewer because they think his friend may have betrayed him, and it's like, and Tweaky goes, what a bummer.
Yeah. But I like the way they want to look after him. He is very much the sort of person you want to look after.
Yes.
Isn't he? Yeah. It's like, I don't know whether the United Statesians have Werther's originals, but he could have been the granddad, couldn't he? And then the United Statesians Werther's originals
I don't think that's going to feature very highly in the United Statesian diet, Werther's original
butterscotch, spoiled sweet. Bloody nice though. Anyway, and then you see Buck and Burton heading off in a particular direction. All the other prisoners are just randomly scrambling on the rocks for reasons that I don't understand, but they're heading off in a particular direction. And the angry android of doom,
Hugo,
comes out and spots them and follows them.
So it's like all the other prisoners over there, but no, he's got in for Buck for some reason, so he's going to go after him. Kicking polystyrene boulders on the way.
That's hysterical. Yes, kicking the boulders.
I mean, it just needs the Terminator tune, doesn't it? Because that's basically what we got here. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And that poor actor must be roasting in all that black gear in the sun. Guy.
Burton doesn't want to go with Buck and says, I'm not going anywhere if you don't talk. And they agree that he'll talk while they walk, which is fine. And then you get the typical man thing of, if you want to rest, just say. She's like, no, I don't want to rest. And then he's like, well, we don't have rest. You can just say. She's like, I don't want to have rest. And he's like, oh, I need a rest. Well, why don't you fucking say that in the first place?
Yeah.
Bloody hell. Anyway, she's then about to leave him, but go in the wrong direction. That's the sort of thing I would do. And he says, no, it's this way. And so they go off again. And then a really bad prop of a terrible cloth snake attacks her leg.
Sun squid.
It's a shit sarlacc, isn't it?
It is a very low budget sarlacc, yes. Or it might be rather more of that creature from Flash Gordon that eats. Is it Peter Duncan it eats?
The one that lives in the tree.
Yes. Oh no, that's not it, is it? Does
No.
one of the woodland guys gets eaten by a squiddy thing? Oh, that's right. It's eating what's your man Richard O'Brien, isn't it? And Flash rescues him.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, yes, the Terminator catches up with them because Buck's managed to free Burton from the squids. Apparently, remember I used to talk when we were doing Next Generation about dangerous. What was his name? Malone. Dangerous Danger Malone or something. It was the stuntman that kept coming. I quite often had an eye patch in all the Mirror Universe ones of Deep Space Nine.
Right.
Anyway, this is him apparently.
Right.
Yeah, as the squid. Wow.
Right. Wow.
Anyway, Buck and Burton team up and leave Hugo in the inflatable tentacles of the sand squid.
I mean, it does look better than some of the things that attached John Pertwee. He
Yeah,
clearly
that's
had to
saying
wrap them
nothing.
round himself.
Yes.
But they've got more budget than
Yeah,
Doctor Who
exactly.
had. It's still obviously rubbishly not real. That's the
Yeah.
problem.
Buck criticises Burton for not smiling, which is always
Oh,
an
fuck
irritating
off.
thing when men do that.
It's like when people go, oh, worse things happen at sea. And I'm like, how the fuck would you know? Are you a sailor? Plus, you don't know what's going on in my life. Fuck off.
Quite. He bigs up the fact that she owes him for getting her out of prison, which is pretty slimy as well. Theopolis' space Googling has highlighted that Warwick is implicated in the attacks on shipping. They decide to hack into the ambassador's computer and, bless them, they're worried again about upsetting Hewer in the process. Why not give him the evidence they've collected already? I'm sure he'd go, yeah, go on then. There's a lovely mat of the outpost with big moons in the background.
Yeah, I like that.
Another one later on with a sled model as well in the foreground. Buck and Burton realise they stand out in their prison PJs, so they decide to mug some clothes off a drunk couple. Nice! Of course, they're a perfect fit. And Buck's top shows off his manly chest
Oh,
as
just
well.
don't. That's just wrong. He really is a Gilbert, isn't he?
Yeah. Now, this dude who Pantera has hired to take out Wilma is called Gaimon, apparently. But not that we know that on screen. Has handcuffed Wilma to a chair, and she cunningly claims to be a smuggler with a large cargo of quadrillium, which just makes me think of Quadro Trichotillei or whatever it is from Trouble with Tribbles. But anyway, this perks the guy's interest, and then the idiot uncuffs her, and she takes him out like a boss.
I love it. Brilliant.
Go Wilma.
My notes actually say, go Wilma.
Yeah, I really wish this was the Wilma Deering show and not Buck Rogers, but there we go. A seedy-looking guy called Sergio Sanweiler. He keeps saying, Sergio Sanweiler, you must have heard of me. And everybody goes, who the F are you?
Yeah.
He spots Burton's prison bracelet. Oh, it's played by Burt Rosario, who's a Knight Rider, by the way. I mean,
I thought I recognised him from something.
you maybe recognise him from Knight Rider then.
Yeah.
It's a wonderfully slimy performance. He could be a
is.
Ferengi.
He could, yes.
And let's face it, the greedy betrayer is something we're troping Buck Rogers. See also
Yeah.
Barney, of course.
Yeah.
Sergio offers to get their bracelets off, and Burton pays him some weird reflective discs, which presumably belong to the poor woman they mugged the dress off, who's lying unconscious in a ditch somewhere. I mean, come on. Normally in these things, they take the clothes off a clothesline. They don't bloody mug people for clothing. Unless they're guards, in which case they've got it coming. But, these were just two guys, people out for a drink, and they've stolen their clothing and their money. And what's worse is that then Sergio doesn't take Buck's bracelet off, because if he had, that would have been ruined the plot later on. So.
But apparently you can do it later just by hitting it on a table.
Yes, that's all right then.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the Terminator has escaped the presumably dead sand squid who couldn't digest him and goes on to knock over a tree.
Because,
Randomly.
obviously, yeah.
Just annoyed him. Get out my way, tree!
I love it as well that he kicks a tumbleweed.
I know.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, having already kicked a boulder, which would have been impressive if it hadn't bounced away. But yes, a tumbleweed, wow.
Yeah.
Sergio goes to Pantera and snitches up Buck and Burton. Buck and Burton sound like they're clothes retailers, don't they? But anyway.
Yes.
Pantera sends Magel off with a ring. Well into Flash Gordon here, which she gives to Burton, who uses it to stun Buck. Stun rings are really cheesy sci-fi, aren't they? But that's what they're aiming for, so that's all right.
Yeah.
Wilma, super spy, overhears Pantera plotting Burton's death. She then goes on to bring Buck round. He'd be lost without her, let's face it.
Yeah.
Burton goes back to Pantera for the inevitable betrayal. Thankfully, Hewer has realised that something is up with his old friend, so Theopolis' news isn't a shock to him, and he decides to deal with him himself. Buck demands Sergio show him where Pantera is, and they assault the landing bay the baddie is using. It looks like they've got the drop on him, then Magel turns up and somehow is able to capture all the goodies despite them outnumbering her.
I don't understand that.
Bit bizarre, but there we are. But they're saved by the Terminator turning up,
Just
crashing through a wall.
It's amazing.
It's like,
I love it.
Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition.
Wow.
They do quite well at zapping him, but Buck then decides the best bet is Kung Fu.
Oh, he throws the gun away and kicks him badly. It's just like, what the fuck are you doing, you complete Gilbert?
Rather more cleverly, Buck then puts the bracelet that he somehow gets off by banging it against the desk on Pantera, and the droid, of course, chases after him instead. Bizarrely, Magel pleads to Buck to save the murderous dude who was after them.
And I'm just like, shut up, you fucking bitch!
And because he's an all-round good guy, he agrees to do so, and they all zap him in the chest. Pantera shows his true colours to Magel, so he's got no gratitude at all. Hewer tracks down his old friend, who makes it clear that his ambition was to go on to greater things, and felt being an ambassador was a come-down, which is it's pretty good motivation, actually. He's not just a 2D villain, you know.
Well, what Hewer says, doesn't he, that he was one of these people that was,
destined for great things
Yeah.
and didn't quite make it, yeah. So, that's quite nice, actually. Didn't need to bother with that bit of business, but they did. I mean, unfortunately, you do kind of expect there to be a big punch-up between Hewer and his old friend, but it just like, old friend just hands over his gun. It's like, oh...
what would a punch-up between two skinny
I know,
old
it would have
men
been
look
funny.
like?
It would have been funny.
Yeah.
The heroes return in the 4-seater Thunderfighter variant. Burton has kept Buck's bracelet, and we cut back to Zeta Minor where the Terminator stirs, which is quite a fun ending, actually.
Yeah.
Naff, but fun.
Yeah.
Which, let's face it, sums up the episode, doesn't it?
Yes, naff but fun. Yeah.
And I would loved it if they kept Hugo all the way through the rest of the series, knocking through walls and kicking random boulders, trying to get to Buck all the time and never quite managing it.
Yeah.
That would have been a wonderful running joke, couldn't it?
Yeah, it would, yes. It's not quality.
It's fun, though.
It is. It's a lot of fun. It's cheesy fun.
Yeah.
It is.
It's what I want from my Buck Rogers, I must admit.
Yes. Biddy. Oh, boy. Yeah. I think that I kept looking at these people that are playing the bit parts and thinking, I know you from somewhere and I know you from somewhere. But it was all just sort of vague memories rather than, oh, I know you really well kind of thing. So was there some kind of crossover then? Like the Americans had with BJ and the Bear. Was there some kind of Knight Rider crossover or something? Because I think you've mentioned Knight Rider before now. And
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these shows reuse the same actors again and again. So, yeah, you're guaranteed to have seen them in something like, the A-Team or Knight Rider or well, we won't have seen anybody in BJ and the Bear because it never came over here because it was called BJ and the Bear. Yeah. But,
no, it's just that there's a lot of feeling of I vaguely know this person. Not, not so much where do I know them from as if they've got some kind of significant part. Just a sort of familiarity of some sort with an awful lot of them. I love that android. I love Hugo.
Yeah, he's great, isn't he? He's brilliant.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
And predates the Terminator as well, so, who knows, perhaps what's his face who directed Terminator?
James Cameron.
James Cameron was watching this and thought, ooh, there might be a film in this.
Yeah. I really like it. I thought it was a lot of fun. And I like the fact as well that when Burton discovers she's been betrayed, not burst into tears or anything like that.
Jamie Lee Curtis is brilliant in this.
She is.
I mean, it's cheap naffness, but she gives it her all.
Yeah.
And she's got real character and, spunk. Ooh, maybe not that, but anyway, she's she's got determination and she's got a personality as well. So she's just not just some nice looking girl, but actually
but I like the fact that she doesn't break down into sobs or anything. She just turns around to the other woman and goes, "You're next."
Yeah.
And she's alright, and I like that. It shows the strength of character, which I like. And a lot of shows around that time would have written that character differently, and I appreciate the way it was.
But the other
written.
thing, a lot of actors would have been, this is cheap sci-fi nonsense. I won't be asked. Where she gives it a
she does. Yeah, brilliant. Love it. So, question is, did other people love it though?
Well, let's find out.
So Jeff writes, "Wow, what was Jamie Lee Curtis doing slumming it on this show? I suppose it was shortly after Halloween, so maybe she hadn't broken really big
No,
yet.
she hadn't become big at this point.
We're doing another Buck Goes Undercover story already, and some aspects of the plan are really dumb. Blowing up the prison and releasing all of the prisoners seems like a bad idea. I'm guessing some of them might be actual murderers.
Well, possibly, I suppose.
And shouldn't be running around with impunity. Also, why did the Proto-Terminator only go after Buck and Jen?
I know that makes no sense.
It doesn't, because it's not like they're the only ones with bracelets. The others have still got theirs on.
Yeah, and there's far more going in the other direction. So you'd think he'd go after the... But no, he's got it in for Buck, you see. It's all Buck's fault, because Buck blew up his prison.
I shouldn't complain. The android provided the bulk of the entertainment.
Yes.
What with Buck's repeated failed attempts to try and fight it hand to hand. I know, it's just so stupid.
Like, literally the first time he throws a punch, he's like, my hand. But then from then onwards, it's like, I'll try and kung fu him. Like, oh, really?
And just throwing the gun away. It's just like, no, you stupid dipshit. Wilma accounted for herself quite well in this one, getting herself out of scrapes and really just outshining Buck at every turn in the competency department. Yeah, that wasn't difficult, to be fair, but yeah. Dr. Colin Hewer, yay, we got him doing it.
He's not even met Colin.
No. Actually got something substantial to do this time, and his confrontation with the crooked ambassador was a really well played scene.
Yeah, it was lovely,
It was good. All criticisms aside, this was a really fun light romp. I'm having such a great time watching this show, and an even better time with the podcast.
Hurrah!
Oh, thank you.
We've heard from Doreen.
Unchained Woman was good. I enjoyed the storyline. The action was quite good, even though it was on a TV budget. The rocks were not overly realistic, and the sound effect definitely wasn't good when the prison guard robot android thing kicked them. But for a kids show, it was quite good. And Wilma Deering, she had a good amount of agency and escaping from the person who'd taken her hostage. I enjoyed it. For a kids program from the 80s, it was good. There was a lot of action, so it was certainly not a slow episode. I enjoyed this one. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
It feels more like a kids program, this one, because there wasn't the smuts of previous stories.
Yes.
I don't think there was
There's
single
no threesome
smutty moment.
No.
About the smuttiest he got was the slightly slimy bit where Gaimon says to Wilma that, when she comes around, she'll be feeling uncomfortable. You wonder what he's going to be doing to her while she's unconscious. But other than that, smut-free.
Yeah. And, yeah, they could have done a bit better with the sound effects and the look of the rocks that the android kicks.
Yes.
But it's fun. That's,
Thanks, Doreen.
Thank you.
Next up, it's Sampo and Yona.
Hello.
Hello.
So we just watched Unchained Woman, another episode in a batch of episodes that has a title that suggests something, I don't know what, but then doesn't actually deliver.
I could smell the women emancipation from the miles away.
Yeah, but none of it really happened. I think, except that Wilma's really starting to win you over.
Yeah, I'm like a fan of Wilma. always when Buck is not around, she actually gets things done. But the minute Buck arrives, just steps back and lets him do all the talking. And she should do some emancipation.
Yeah, she really didn't need any rescuing or anything in this episode.
She did rescue Buck once.
Yeah, that as well, yes. So go Wilma. What else? Oh, yes. I was really surprised to see Jamie Lee Curtis in here. I mean, I checked the timeline before we started recording. This was straight after Halloween, so I guess this was filmed right before she became famous, I guess. Because, I mean, this came out a year after, but I think this was more or less her last TV role, and she was just in movies after this. So.
Okay. Nice.
Yes. What else?
I liked her in this episode, but I actually liked more the guy with mustaches. What was?
Oh yes, the little guy. I don't know. He looked a bit like.
I suppose he did have a name, but I can't remember.
Little mustache guy. He reminded me of someone. I can't put my finger on who. Yes, he was funny.
and the role was nice, and he was funny, and he played it well.
My favorite line was, "How dare you use your unnatural height to your advantage?" It got a laugh out of us.
Yeah.
He was a bit like the shoe-shining man from Police Squad, that he knew everything, so everyone always came to him for questions.
Yeah.
What else? I think this episode contained at least 5 minutes of the grumpy robot walking through the desert and kicking at styrofoam.
Yeah.
But the climax when he actually came was, well, I mean, it was amusing. He came through the wall and kicked at some gates that weren't even attached to anything, and then Buck attached the bracelet to the bad guy, and the robot started chasing him. And one of the other laughs that I got out of the episode was the woman, "He's gonna kill him! Help me!" I really wasn't sure what the idea was, but then some shooting, karate kick, some cardboard boxes, and more shooting, and the robot goes down.
For a while, at least.
Yes, I mean, the ending was like something out of a horror movie or something. Yeah. And, when they can't afford to make robot makeup, they'll just add some sound effects when he's moving, and there you go, robot.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a pretty sort of standard episode with a standard plot. I'm having a hard time.
Yeah, but everything started quite from the middle of everything. Like, they were already on the spaceship, and they were already on their way, and they already knew what they were supposed to do. And then things just happened. Like, they blew their way out of the jail with this bracelet that exploded so hard that even Mythbusters guys wouldn't be able to use like this C4 at all.
Yes, something like it was 200 meters deep, and it still looked like a nuclear explosion. And well, good thing that all the prisoners were safe behind the one door and totally unharmed.
They definitely do things right in the planet moon thing, that they were imprisoned. But like, was it like a time bomb?
Most likely. I mean, so, okay, fair enough. I mean, first when he went to the jail with the medallion, and I was thought, I mean, that's stupid. I mean, they'll take it off him. And only then I realized that was the plan all along. So, yeah, way to go. Time bomb, most likely, yes. Or maybe it triggered when they took it off him or something. I don't know. Okay, so very standard Buck Rogers episode.
Yeah.
But
even though it was a little...
Yes. I can't think of anything snappy to say. Yeah.
No, I'm gonna quote the small happy man with the small happy mustache. Ta-ta.
Ta-ta.
Was it Sergio?
Yeah.
I think, yes. That's your man. He's kind of fun, and he's only elite for a couple of short scenes, but yeah.
Yeah.
That explosion, yes, that must have been a really strong door they were behind, because the rest of the place just went up. Nobody's business.
Ridiculous. I mean, I found it amusing that it was a proper bang, but it was a completely unrealistic level of bang. It really was. And Unchained Woman, it's not really... indicative of the content at all, is it?
No, but that's not uncommon with these story titles, is it? Yes.
No, but I mean, it's better than Latin.
True, yes.
But, you know.
But starting, once the plot has already got going, that's about as sophisticated as Buck Rogers gets, to be honest. So.
Yeah.
And yeah, when Buck's not around, Wilma shines, basically.
She does.
So
She does.
if they could just drop Buck, I think this would be the perfect show.
Well, I like that she rescues him.
Yeah, it's great.
That's good. And yes, I did like it. How dare you use your unnatural height to your advantage.
Yes.
That was amusing. What did Drew and Tracy make of this? What did Tracy think of the all the way down chest hair Buck?
So we just watched Unchained Woman.
We did.
And what do we think of that one then?
Yeah, it's okay. Not bad, actually. Not bad.
We have that opinion at the end.
Yeah.
But we have to note that we got about 10 minutes in and we were like, I was like, what the fuck is going on? So we literally had to start
back to the
again.
beginning, yeah.
And then it kind of all made sense. Maybe I wasn't paying attention, but it just
Maybe.
seemed to be like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yep.
But yeah, okay, so let's go through some points.
Okay.
Buck is taking the place of the prisoner.
Yes, he does, yeah.
On the ship.
Yep.
And that's fine. But he's got like the biggest fuck off medallion.
It's the 70s, so he's got a medallion. If you can have a secret device, needs to be in the medallion.
Well, I did wonder, like, how he was going to get away with that. Because when he actually went into the prison, you couldn't see it under his overall.
We couldn't see the chain.
And I did wonder, we did say whether he'd done like a bit of a Pulp Fiction and put it up the bum to keep it safe. But then obviously they spied it on the X-ray.
Yep.
Although when they put him into decontamination, would that have not melted off? I don't know.
I don't know what was going on in the decontamination, but we liked Jill Gerard's his acting
his
of being in
boss-eyed
pain.
face. Yeah, that was madness. So let's talk about Ambassador Warwick.
Oh yeah, there's
What
just
a
a
snidey
whole
McSnide face.
Yes, I mean, why did Dr. Hewer tell him about what they were doing in the first place? That's what I want to say. Why
Because
tell
he's his
him?
mate.
I know, that's the trouble. He's
But-
got a bit too close, hasn't he, old Dr. Hewer, and letting him buy his dinner and all that lot.
Wow.
There's some fanfic that's got
You
just
don't
got to go
know
off on this, isn't
What
there?
else is going on in that
I
little
know.
relationship there,
I
love?
just felt so sorry for Dr. Hewer at the end as well, when like he goes to confront him and that, and he genuinely looked gutted. It's some
Yeah.
good acting by that guy.
Yeah.
There's some stuff going on there in the
There is.
background.
I mean, you set yourself up for a fall if you say, would you like to do dinner? Only if you let me pay.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
I liked it. It's good. It's good
Yeah.
stuff. You know.
He's a double-crossing doo-doo.
He was.
anyway.
Yes. Yep.
Let's leave it there. We've got to mention Sergio.
Sergio. It's a
Sergio.
good character, isn't he?
Was a cross between a Liverpool 8
He was,
guy,
yeah.
but for me, as soon as I saw him, he was just Bobby Ball, and I
Yes.
just wanted him to keep saying "Rock on, Buck!
I
Rock
know,
on, Buck!"
definitely.
But, it was just a bit of a slimy guy, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
but quite a funny character.
Yep.
So
The cut price or Poundland Terminator. The prison warden. Why are they using so many robots at the beginning? Like the guy at the beginning, the pilot was a robot, and all
exactly.
the. This is how the robots are going to put all of us out of a job, isn't it?
Well, you know, Glenn A. Larson likes his robots, doesn't he?
Yes,
Like, he's
I guess so.
android. He was an android though. But let's just talk about this android. I mean, he got eaten by like a sandworm.
Yep.
Is that what they call it?
It's squid, I think. Sand squid.
Yeah, and then he
maybe.
walks across
There's
like
only,
a desert.
A bit too close. They called it a sandworm, isn't it?
Oh,
So
yeah,
it's a
yeah,
sand
yeah.
squid.
For
Yeah.
how long?
Yeah.
He walks across the bleeding desert. Then he gets into the town and
Oh,
he
yeah,
gets
you
like...
missed that when he's kicking the polystyrene rocks, doesn't he? He kicks the rock and it makes no indentation at all into the desert.
It
when
doesn't,
it lands.
that was funny. We were like, what? But then he gets to see Buck, and like Buck shoots him with a phaser, and he actually goes, "Ah!"
I
like
know,
it's gonna
right?
hurt.
Yeah, it's
leave
the same
off.
as when the sand squid's getting. Oh!
He's a fucking android. Unless you take his chips out, he ain't going nowhere.
But we also liked, and this was a theme, isn't it? How good-natured Buck is.
Oh,
because when
yeah.
the woman at the end says, "No, don't let him kill him,"
That
and
is what I wrote down. So Buck is such a good person. He
He
knows
is,
that
yes.
Pantera is a shitty McShit.
yeah,
But when he puts like the prison chip on him, and he knows that the android is going to go and kill him,
he goes and saves
you know,
him.
and the woman asks for help, and he's just
Even though the
okay.
Pantera, he's a git. He
Yeah.
to his new girlfriend, he's like does the
Yeah,
arse
yeah.
on, yeah.
But
She was told.
Yep.
She was told. It was alright. Quite enjoyable.
Yeah, I enjoyed this actually. I'm once again going full in. I enjoyed this. I
Yeah.
see nothing bad with this. It was funny, the android
Yeah.
and the whole lot, and we're really loving Buck. He's a good character.
I like Buck.
Yeah, he's good.
He's a cheeky chappy, and
He is,
with a
yeah,
sensitive
he's good.
soul. Anyway.
So yeah, good stuff.
Yes. Anyway, should we leave it there?
Okay.
Okie dokie. See you later, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Yes, it is Bobby Ball.
Bobby Ball.
I have to explain that.
Oh, well, were they a comedy duo? They were more,
Yeah,
I mean,
called
comedy
a
in the
comedy.
broadest sense.
Yeah, as in not funny, but your parents like
I mean,
them.
they're more sort of what we think of as Ant and Dec now, really, where that was them back in the day, wasn't it?
Yeah,
So
Callan and
not
Moore.
semi-
Game show hosts.
game show hosts, and
Yeah.
variety performers rather than what you'd strictly think of as comedians, to be honest. But there we go.
Open the door, open your heart, and then we've got somewhere to start. Just turn around, hey, look what we found. Today's a brand new day. Yes, it is, oh, yes, it is. Come with me now, I'll show you how. The world is waiting.
Yes, Britain in the 70s and 80s did not do well for comedy. Interestingly, big fans of Buck. He's my least favourite aspect of the show, which is a bit unfortunate because it's kind of his show. But there we are. But I do love the idea of Hugh Warwick / Vic. We know who's going to be writing that.
Warwick
Warwick / Vic.
They'll be in BJ and the Bear.
Well, possibly. And yes, but Buck Rogers' plot apparently is confusing to the Barkers, at least to begin with. So.
I don't know. The only thing I can think is that if you start watching something and think it's going to be really simplistic, because that's what you're used to, it did the thing of starting not at the beginning.
Yeah.
Have they had a few, do you think, before they put it on?
Possibly, yes.
What did Purray make of this?
Hello, Orcs. Purray here to talk about the Buck Rogers episode, The Unchained Woman. Now in this one, once again, Buck's on yet another undercover mission, once again pretending to be some undercover criminal, but this time he's there to bust out young Jamie Lee Curtis, because she was the girlfriend to someone who's raiding their cargo. Again, one of the things that I never remember from Buck Rogers until watching this is, I think every other time I watched it, their defence directorate seemed like a kind of a big power. Like they were very much the ones in charge, and sort of a significant force in the area. And actually, no, Earth's quite often up against it. I think if you look at it, it's constantly got people raiding its supply lines, and that's often a problem. And it doesn't always have the staff to make it up. So that's just been an interesting thought on how the series actually portrays itself compared to how I remembered it. Like I say, this is Buck. Interesting to see a young Jamie Lee Curtis, and I don't know, for some reason I kept hearing the villain is Pantera, which to me is a metal band, but that could just be where my mind goes. So yeah, I mean, again, some not badly entertaining stuff. I didn't mind the sort of rubbish robot prison guard chasing them constantly, even fighting the sand squid and whatnot. It was, it's got a bit of the Terminator about it, but on a budget of about 20p. But it gave a bit of threat. What I did like was Wilma got stuff to do, and again, wasn't, she got captured, but she actually escaped herself. Again, she's not the damsel in distress. I like that, actually. Wilma's quite well portrayed. Similarly, I really liked the Dr. Who or Dr. Theopolis kind of story, with the guy who is actually their mole being Dr. Who's old friend. And I liked that exchange. Again, just giving these secondary characters, for all it is, Buck Rogers is the title character. It is really good that they actually have given Wilma her own thing to do, and Dr. Who stuff to do. I actually really like that. In fact, in many ways, the Buck stuff was probably the weakest stuff in the episode, but nonetheless, still quite entertaining. Again, we're not looking at high art here. Now that Sam Pagnano have printed out, though, once again at the end of the episode, Buck's giving a woman a lift home. He's space Uber for women. Oh God, that's we should have started a count. It's too late now, but we should have started a count on that. So yeah, enjoyable enough stuff. Maybe not the best episode we've seen, but entertaining. Lots of walking through a desert, admittedly. So yeah, all that remains to say is do keep up the good work. I always enjoy the podcast, and I'll be back in the next one. Until then, bye for now.
Oh, well, thank you, Purray. You've saved us from Cannon and Ball.
Oh my God, we nearly had the worst song to play out to. Thank you so much. You are our saviour.
Only episode that doesn't end with Buck going home with a woman that he's picked up at some point is the two-parter Planet of the Slave Girls, where instead he goes home with Wilma and the other pilot that originally was falling out with, but now they're best buddies for a threesome.
Yeah.
So, you know, basically every episode ends with sex. You're guaranteed that. But
Buck Rogers Space Uber.
Yes. Yeah. And it's the idea is that, yes, Earth is recovering from this nuclear holocaust thing, so they're not all powerful, far from it, actually. And that's in some ways kind of more interesting than the, sort of Starfleet with one of the biggest powers in the universe type things. So, it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Jolly good. Well, we've got more quality lined up for next time. You can guess by the name of the episode. Which is, well, on Thursday the 8th of July, we'll be covering Planet of the Amazon Women.
Wonder Woman.
Yes, or they may be turning up with boxes of stuff you've ordered from companies that don't pay the taxes that they should. We don't know, but the bottom line is we're expecting cheese, so...
Prime cheese?
Prime cheese, yes, possibly. Excellent. Take care, folks. Cheery bye.
Bye-bye. The voiceover for Borg Rogers was provided by Michael David Sims from Earth2.net.
The Buck Rogers theme was played by Drew Barker. All other music is used for illustrative purposes only, and no copyright infringement is intended.
The artwork for this podcast was created by Andy Palastides.
To contact us, send emails or MP3s to borgcast@gmail.com.
Contact us via Twitter at rev_org or broadcastammo. #Borgcast.
Visit our website at galactica.libsyn.com.
Or view images relating to our cast on our Tumblr site, borgcast.tumblr.com.
You can join our Facebook page. There's also a Spotify playlist with all our play-out tunes on it.
Shut it down!
What a bummer.